How's you going, boys? Mike here. Welcome back to Grampie's workshop. We're back in the workshop. We got it all painted, all done up. We're going to start putting stuff back together. Isn't that exciting? And what I've done so far is I've taken my air compressor. That's, I think, the first thing I'm going to locate. So I'll show you where I'm putting that again. So this is my heated cabinet. So I'm going to keep that heated. I'm going to continue to store paint and whatnot in there. I figure even if the shop gets heated, it doesn't hurt to have that insulated cabinet for storing paint. And then down below that, that's where I had the compressor before. So I think that's a great spot for it because it's a horizontal tank, fits under there nice, it's out of the way. And if need be, I could even put like a shield or something in front of it to try to minimize the noise. But at any rate, that's where it's going to go. And there's a handy plug right here. So that's all plugged in and powered up and working. So now I want to put my manifold back in, and I have this blue line here. This is a distribution air line to the rest of the shop. I have one outlet that ends up, it's going to be up here if you can see in the lights there, up beside that light. That's going to service the mechanical workbench. And then away on the other side of the shop here, this one's going to be hard to see because there's so much junk piled around. It's snuggled in back there. There's the other air outlet that's going to provide air to the wood shop side of the shop. So I have this manifold that I had built up before, and this is going to be the input line coming from the compressor. So I have an on-off valve there. The main air, I have it identified, and then that goes to a regulator. Now this regulator here is going to regulate the pressure for the whole shop, or not the whole shop. It's going to regulate the pressure for the distribution line. But then for this outlet that I have that's going to be over the workbench, I don't have a regulator on that. So whatever this regulator is set to, that's what the pressure is going to be at the mechanical bench. But at the wood bench, I do have a regulator over there and an oiler and a filter or a water separator. So I'll be able to regulate my pressure over there. What happens here, this comes right through here to this valve. This valve here goes to what I call the hose reel. And I'm going to mount a hose reel back here where I had it before, because that was a good spot for it. Again, it was out of the way, nothing would catch on it, and it was a good access for the rest of the shop. But then on this T tees off and goes up and feeds the air distribution line to the rest of the shop. And I don't know what happened. I think maybe because I put this sheathing on here, I can't get the manifold back in where I want, so this line doesn't reach that anymore. But that's not going to be a big deal. I'm just going to cut this off, put a little piece of extension in, and then mount that isolation valve right here, the shut-off valve right there. So that's what we're going to do next. We're going to take that manifold panel and mount that on the wall somewhere. Okay, so there's my manifold in place, but I also have a couple of lag bolts that I have to put in to hold these regulator and filter in place, so I'll do that now too. There we go. Okay, I need to bring this line up here, and then I need to put a little piece to join those two together. So I think I'm going to start by putting my extension or my spare piece. I'm going to put that right in here first. Try to get that on as far as we can. And these PEX connectors that I have, they're the crimp type. I like these. Well, I shouldn't say I like them better than the compression rings. Never used the compression ring, so I just found these were a lot easier. The main reason I went with these was the crimp tool was cheaper to buy. So we want to set that ring close to the edge to make sure we get it on the knurls on the fitting. Oops. And then that should do that. If I can get that hose up about like that, I think if we cut this around here, That should fit pretty good. You know, I bought this blue hose thinking it was going to be the ideal airline. Oh man, it's terrible. It's some stiff in the cold. Even this is stiff, and I put the heat gun on it for a while. So now we're going to put that in there, you know, just like that. Slide that up there, about like that. Put the crimp on it. Put the squeeze on her. Ew. Just about like that. Okay, so that should look after that one. So now I'll just get a clamp and put it around there at some point in time. So that's on and that's off. I have it labeled there, so and that's on and off. Now this one goes on to this fitting down here. Okay, this is just a gear clamp on this one. So I'm going to slide that in there. There we go. I find with gear clamps too, if you come onto them too hard, you'll strip them. So you don't want to do that. So there. All right, so this is good. And I'm going to turn that off to start with. Turn that off, turn that off. Down here at my compressor, here's the air line. So I can plug that in the front. And that pressures up the whole system. No leaks. So we'll turn this on. What's my regulator set at? Set at 120. I guess that's just pressured up. Okay. I guess it's set at 125. Okay, we're going to energize this reel, hose reel, check for leaks. I hear an air leak, but I think that's just the regulator setting up because it seems to be diminishing. Just about stopped. So now we're going to plug this. All right, so that works. You shut that off. And now this is to the rest of the shop. I don't hear any leaks there, so shut everything off now. Actually, I do hear a leak. And I know what it is. It's the quick connect chuck I have on this airline that's going to go to the mechanical bench. It was a cheap quick connect. So that coupler that's leaking in the airline going to what's going to be the mechanical workbench. This is a coupler. It's brass, eh? You think, hey, that's a good one. Brass, got to be good, right? Well, if you look inside the coupler, there's ball bearings in there. That's what holds the male portion of the coupler in. On the cheap couplers, like what I have up there, there's only 3 ball bearings in there. In this one, if you can see in there, I don't know how well you can see, but there's 5 ball bearings in this one. So like this is a good one. That one is a bad one. So if you're ever looking for couplers, get the one with the 5 balls, that's better. The 3 ball ones work, but you know, you're going to expect leaks. That's just, I guess, all I could say. But anyway, I think we got our air back together, so that's great. I'm glad I got that set up. So this morning I came out, I got to start to putting the shop back together, right? Thought I got to get my bench and saw and everything cleared off. So I thought I'd start by putting the shelves back together. So this shelf here was pretty rusty, and I thought, well, now's a really good time to paint that. So I'm into painting again. I'm telling you, I never thought I'd ever paint again, but here I am, painting again. I'm also using a 2-inch foam brush, and I have a Bare Alkaloid semi-enamel paint, indoor, outdoor. We bought this paint for painting our steel doors. So I figured it should be good for going on the steel shelf. This is a steel shelf that I have here. So we're just about finished painting this. I took some time and put masking tape on it all so that I wouldn't make a mess of the walls that I just painted. But you know what it's like when you're painting, right? See, there's the beauty of the masking tape. I can just, you know, spread it on and don't have to worry. Tell you what, boys, I kind of like this foam brush. If you're wondering why the standards around this shelf are yellow, a while ago I tried to come up with a system where I could identify where everything was stored. So instead of, you know, like if you're looking for something, you know how it's always in the last, you know, container that's on the shelf. Well, I decided I would try to identify where I store all my materials, and that way when I go to look for it, I just go and search my database and find out where it's located and then go get it. Well, that never ever got finished, but anyways, I don't want to paint over the yellow because someday I want to do that. So we're just finishing up this. It's probably going to take 2 coats, but that's okay. I think it's not a bad color for the shelves, actually. And I'm only in short sleeves here today because it's kind of mild. Well, it's not real mild out. It's about 0 degrees and windy. But it's I had the heater going on here for about 20 minutes, so it's up around 10 degrees in here. Okay, it's the next day now. I was out last night after supper and put a second coat on the shelf. So it's kind of dried now, good now. It doesn't look too bad. So I think we can take our tape off here and see what kind of a mess we made. Anyway, I think it's going to be all right. I'm going to take the rest of the tape off, like I say, fill this up, and then I'm going to paint these couple of top shelves up here. Alright, so I just spent some time and I put some masking tape all around those upper shelf units, bottoms, and then I painted them. So the shelves are all painted now, just have to wait for them to dry. But now I'm going to do some planning on how to lay out the shop. You know, the bench might go where I originally planned it, between those 2 outlets. It might not. So it's nice to get the compressor located there under that cabinet. I think that's an ideal spot for it. And I've got my air distribution re-established, so I've got air in the shop, and I've got my shelves all painted. That's neat too. So now I can go to work and start unloading like the saw and the bench, get some of this stuff taken off the saw and the bench, put back in those shelves so I can get access to some of this work area and tooling so that I can start building my workbench in the corner. That's going to be good fun, so stay tuned for that one. Thanks a lot for watching. I sure appreciate all your comments, and if you haven't commented or subscribed yet, please do so, and leave me some information about what you think of my shop. You know, what would you add to it if you were redoing your shop? Thanks, and I hope you have a great week wherever you are, and we'll talk to you.